Today for Silver Pennies, I'm reading called Defined. Do you ever play that you're an elf in a fairy ring or try to play fairy tunes on a hollow reed? It was a little Irish boy who played a game in this poem. Do you know any bird who names himself when he sings? I took a reed and blew a tune, and sweet it was and very clear, to be about a little thing that only few hold dear. 3 times the cuckoo named himself, but nothing heard him on the hill. Where I was piping like an elf, the air was very still. 'Twas all about a little thing, I made a mystery of sound. I found it in a fairy ring upon a fairy mound. By Francis Ledwidge. 1929 was when this book was written. And then God's Best for You. Yay, these are very fitting too. This one's called 100%. Without trust in each other, no one could relax for a moment. Indeed, we put our trust in others every day. We trust drivers to obey traffic signals, trust voters to erect sturdy structures, trust grocers to sell safe food, trust the people around us to do what they say they're going to do. But life soon teaches us not to trust 100%. Not all drivers heed traffic lights, and not all workers are honest. Some sellers will try to cut corners, and some people will let us down. Sometimes we ourselves fail to honor the trust a person has placed in us. As we learn the ways of the world, we balance the necessity of trusting others so we can live together in community with good sense stemming from practical experience. When our hard-earned lesson not to trust unwisely extends to God, we need to remind ourselves of an inescapable fact. We are human and God is God. While we fall short of perfection, God is perfection itself. Though we don't always keep our word, God keeps His. Down to the letter. If we read God's biblical promises in context, grasp their clearest meaning, we can put 100% of our trust in them. Trust God without reservation. The one who created you will take care of you. And the one who sent His Son to redeem you will not cast you off. His Holy Spirit, who is working to strengthen your faith right now, will never let you down. Give 100% of your trust to the one who gives you 100% of His love. With all your heart, you must trust the Lord and not your own judgment. Proverbs 3:5. And Daily Guideposts. These are some amazing books. For today, or tomorrow, this is for tomorrow, March 25th, because I already did the 24th. So for March 25th, impress them on your children. Deuteronomy 6:7. At 3 a.m., in the bedroom of my father's house in the mountains, a crash of thunder shook me awake. In a voice nearly drowned by the sound of heavy rain drumming on the roof, my 10-year-old son John said, "Why did Grandpa just drive away?" Alarmed, I jumped in bed and searched the empty house until I found a note on the dining room table. Gone to the emergency room. Dad had been suffering from a severe virus. Now my heart pounded thinking of him driving off alone into a violent thunderstorm. John and I hastily dressed and ran through the soaking rain to our car. When we arrived at the emergency room, I was relieved to find Dad's white car parked safely in the lot. He was in the examination room, being fixed up with a prescription. As we were leaving, Dad ran into a friend of his whose husband was suffering from serious lung infection. As Dad introduced us, I recognized the worried look in the woman's eyes as the same call to prayer that I had felt in the thunderstorm. It was a simple exchange. I asked the woman if I might pray with her. She nodded. I put my hand on her shoulder and said a short, quiet prayer for her husband's successful treatment. Several days later, while we were driving back home, John asked, "Why did you pray with that woman from the hospital?" "Well, John," I answered, "she needed it, just like all of us." In the midst of the thunderstorm and in the emergency room, I had nearly forgotten that John was with me, watching what I did. During those pre-dawn hours, my son had been observing, remembering, and evaluating my prayer habits. How many times had he been watching when I slogged my way through an emergency without stopping to pray? How many worried people had he seen me pass without offering a hand to grab on to in prayer? Dear Father, today Make my prayer habits ones that will invite others into closer communion with you. By Karen Barber, March 25. Thanks for having me. I got a children's story to write